Most of us have been at this for more than 20 years, and we're tired. Tired of hearing people think that they have no hope, no future, and that they will simply sit in their cubicles and survive working in IT. Well, we're here to tell you right here, right now, that you can thrive in IT, and we are going to prove it.
Bringing you great stories
About great people in information technology
that it turns out are just like you. Welcome to THRIVEcast.
Awesome. Welcome, everybody, to THRIVEcast. DJ Eshelman here, back with you in the studio. Feels good to be back home and proper for a change. Well, as proper as we get around here, anyway. So, welcome to today's episode. It's going to be a great one. We're reaching across the world, as always. So, if you are a person in IT who wants to learn more about other people's careers and other people's journeys so that you can validate your own and feel just a little bit better about today, you're in the right place. So let's bring on my co-host, Jeff Fitch. How's it going, sir?
It is going well. Glad to have you back in the studio. How was the visit?
It was good. It was good. Got to visit some family. Got to visit some other things in Colorado. And when I say that, I mean breweries. Nothing else.
Sure you do.
Don't do that. One of the few, I guess, that just don't partake in that particular kind of herb.
Yeah, it's well, I won't get into it, but it's no. It's not you actually. It's a what seems to be a very different attitude. So my 19-year-old, I have a 19-year-old, and there's a big difference between when I grew up and drinking was cool, and when he's growing up and the weed is cool. Not that there wasn't obviously weed back when I was in high school, but right. It was, I don't know, how do I say it? It was not a focus.
Right.
I don't know, but it's just interesting that like alcohol
we're all
like,
pretty much the same age. And so we all know that, the kids that like, we had the stoners and the geeks and the jocks and the cliques, and those are apparently not a thing anymore, but whatever.
Yeah.
So anyway, the bottom line is good to be home. And if you guys didn't catch when Jeff took over for me, that was genuine. He really genuinely did not tell me he was going live. I after the fact saw that I got a notification on my phone that Thrive IT is live. I was like, what?
Did you like that little video I made? I really wanted to get that out beforehand and stuff, but just ran into crunches.
And watch go back and watch that episode after this one or whenever, and watch to the end. Yeah, Jeff cast.
I worked way too hard on that.
I thought it was pretty hilarious, but that's anyway. So. But enough about us. So our guest today is Neil McLoughlin from Manchester, UK. He is currently the UK Field Office CTO or Field CTO for Nerdio. Now, I met him when we were both Citrix CTAs together, so that's kind of my background. But Neil's been a blogger and podcaster and just involved in the community for a long time, as long as us, pretty much. Like we could just start calling this the 20-year veteran show, and probably be covered.
Or the old folks home.
I don't know. Company, yeah. And like a lot of us, for the last 10 or so years, the focus has really been on end user computing and all the myriad of things that involves. But lately, has been a lot more involved with Azure Virtual Desktop or AVD, which we've been talking a lot about lately. And so, active MVP. So, let's stop talking about all that and welcome on Neil McLoughlin. Welcome, sir.
Hello, glad to be here.
Yeah, good to have you. Glad this all worked out.
Recently renewed MVP, correct? You were just
correct.
last cycle?
Yeah.
Nice.
Although it's a bit kind of a fake renewal because of COVID, essentially, they said all existing MVPs would automatically be renewed because obviously a lot of people haven't been able to commit due to family commitments and other stuff going on. So they sort of did automatic renewal for existing MVPs, which is nice. It shows that Microsoft really cares and listens and stuff. So, but yeah, happy to be renewed for my second year as an MVP. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, these last few years have been pretty cool, huh?
Yeah, it's been a journey, that's for sure. It's especially the past 5 years of my career, it's just completely gone rocketed off. It's crazy to see, but it's good. It's a good thing.
Right on. Well, I want to do something just a little bit different today, and I want to start off by having you describe what you do today as Field CTO for Nerdio. What does that mean?
Wow, a lot of different things. So, I come from a consulting background. So, my job role used to be sort of very defined about what I would do day to day. So, when I first sort of started being asked about the Field CTO role, I was kind of like, that's sales. I don't want to do sales because I've always been a full-on techie kind of thing. I've always sort of skirted away from doing full-on technical architecture because I love doing sort of hands-on and getting really deep into technical stuff. But then the more I sort of chatted with the guys over at Nerdio, the more it was more of a technical role as well. So my role is doing a lot of different things at the moment. It's sort of a bit of sort of product evangelism. It's a bit of technical sort of writing documents. It's speaking to customers from a technical perspective. It's helping customers out. It's doing sales calls. It's you name it, everything from A to B to C to Z, which is what I love. It's so much fun compared to just do just one little thing. So what do I do? Depends on the day. It changes literally, definitely day to day. So it's a lot of fun.
Love it. So yeah, so I mean, so obviously that's not just a job they give to anybody. So I figured we'd dive into kind of your progression. So tell us about kind of your early life. Were you born in the UK or?
Yep, I was. Yeah, I mean, I had to bring up my CV because I was like, what I've done, I've done so many different things. But I was born in the UK about 42 years ago, to be exact. So lived here all my life. I live in Manchester, as you mentioned. So that's sort of northern UK for people who don't know. Home to Manchester United, obviously, which is what every person who meets says to me. Is that from the city UK? So yeah, lived there all my life. And then sort of, I would say, been involved with IT for very, very much of my life. And do you want me to start from how I got into IT and stuff like that, or?
Well, you could even go back earlier than that if you want to. Just to kind of looking back through your childhood and things like that. What got you interested in the computer world in general?
Yeah. Okay. Well, obviously, when I was like probably around sort of 8 to 10 years old, computers were kind of just starting to sort of make a sort of a widescreen appearance. And it was actually my uncle who got me interested in computers. He was, at the time, he worked for, I can't remember who he worked for now, but one of the big companies, and he was like a programmer. And I used to go around to his house and see all the computer stuff. I was very inquisitive. I was like, what's that? That kind of looks interesting. And then I think when I was age 10, I got my first PC, and he helped me buy that. Oh, sorry, no, I'll rewind even further. Before that, before I even got a PC, see just how long ago, I can't remember. I used to have an Amstrad CPC 464. And obviously we used to use the BBC micros at school as well. So way back, going back to the school, I had I remember a CPC 464 with a green screen, which was pretty cool. Yeah. Remember those? Used to play games like Frogger and Milkman and stuff like that, and used to sort of spend my sort of days sort of writing code from the magazines. If anyone remembers those, those? Yeah, when you used to get magazines full of code.
Common discussion around here.
Yeah, used to sort of write them out and then play the output, stuff like that. So that's how I really got into computers. And I guess you could say when I was that age, I spent a lot of time on the computer. I used to read a lot as well. So reading a lot about computers. I mean, I remember I used to buy remember you could buy those magazines with all the PC bits you could buy them and stuff like that. I used to buy all those and just spend hours and hours and hours reading through all those. I mean, I was proper 100% into it. And then kind of just progress from there, really, as you do. So obviously started going to school, learning sort of PCs at school as well. And that's where I got my first PC, which was the, I think it's a 386 XX20 with like, is it 4 megabytes of RAM and 99, not even that, so maybe, and then like a 20 gig hard drive or something like that.
Not even 20 gig, 20 meg.
20 meg, yeah, 20 meg. Sorry, see, this is
back to 386 with a gig, man. That'd be like a dream.
Yeah, we could address that back in the day.
And then obviously just progressed from there. I got really excited when the 386 DX40 came out with a turbo button with the mass processor in it. So
processor, baby. Woo!
Yeah. And it just progressed massively from there, really. From there, and even I think even at that young age, I knew, this is what I wanted to do with my career. So that's how I got started.
Was that what you went to school for then, or?
Yeah, so I went to school. Obviously, did the normal school thing, and actually set up a computer club within school. And sorry for any software companies out there, but we did stuff like solve software with copy floppy disks and stuff, swap software. And we used to do like a weekly magazine and little crazy stuff like that. And then he obviously went to school and then decided. So the next step normally from school would be to go to college and then go to university. And at the time, the only university course you could do was computer science. That was it. If you wanted to do computers, it was computer science. That or nothing. And I actually not a lot of people know this, but I have a condition that's called mathematical dyslexia. Where I find maths really, really difficult. It's a bit like words, but you like when you see words like sort of numbers jumble up. And I have the same thing with like maths. I can't work things out in my head and stuff like that. So computer science was pretty much a no-no for me. So I said, right, okay, new university. So I decided to go to college. And you could do what they call BTEC national diplomas here in England in computers. So I did that in computers. And then passed that after 2 years, obviously, and then started my career doing computer stuff. So thinking back, that was probably the best thing that could ever happen to me. Because while everyone was doing off their sort of 4 years in university, I was working and earning my graft and everything. By the time after those 4 years they finished university, because I basically worked my butt off for the next 4 years, I was probably at a position where those people would have to work the next 10 years to get to, if that makes sense.
We might be the first generation of, people that went to college and things like that for this kind of stuff, or just in general, to tell the next generation, don't bother.
Yeah. I mean,
just learn what you need to. But there's ways to learn it. Yeah.
I don't even think it was so much whether it was a learn. I think it was just more expected that you were going to go.
Definitely.
Yeah, to post and you were, I mean, now
how to learn.
It's a very, very different world, especially in IT.
Yeah.
Where a degree, it helps, but it's definitely not a requirement or shouldn't be.
A lot of companies are still saying it's a requirement, which is just crazy,
mind-boggling to me. Yeah.
Like
what's the value there?
Especially people our age, right? So what does it matter when you went to university 20 years ago or not? Because what you learned at university 20 years ago is completely irrelevant to what you know now, right?
Yeah.
What you learned in university 5 years ago is probably completely irrelevant to what you know now.
Well, actually,
and especially in technology, you're learning behind just that real life, so.
I mean, even when I went to do my BTEC national diploma, all that stuff was useless to me. I'm not going to use any of it ever. It's just nutty stuff. It's just to get a certificate.
What do I need about Fortran?
Yeah, I did COBOL.
Yeah,
COBOL. Yeah.
Actually, we started learning like things like Fox Pro, and I was like, I'm out. I'll just go. I'll do music. I'll do journalism. I'll do anything but computer science. It was kind of the same kind of thing.
I do remember doing some COBOL, but I also remember doing Pascal.
Oh, yeah. It's sort of like, they were trying to guess the next. It's sort of like trying to guess the next big cryptocurrency. It's just like they're just like, I think this is going to be it. This is it.
The thing is, the crazy thing is though, if you know COBOL now, I can guarantee you will get a very, very well paid job with one of the major banks, because there's a lot of companies out there still running it, and probably they're screaming out for people now because no one lives it anymore. So all those people, all those old mainframes, which are probably going to exist for the next 50 years, they're still running it. They still want you.
Yep. If you know AIX, you're in a good spot.
Yeah.
So tell us about like your first job and how that kind of.
Yeah. So obviously I left college and started looking for a job. And my first job, I went to work for a company called Philips. I think most of you know it. Sort of worldwide brand. But this was an arm of that company called Philips Semiconductors. And that first role was actually a rollout engineer. So I was rolling out there. So they were doing a migration from Windows 3.11 to Windows NT4 workstation. So I would sort of do migration over. So I'm having to read from my CV because this was so long ago. It was 600 PCs and 1,200 users from Windows NT 3.11 to NT4 workstation. And that was great. I did that and then stayed there for about 2 years because I was moved into the role. Because I was actually a contractor at the time. That's my first role was a contractor. So another fun fact, I spent the first probably 20 years of my career as a contractor. I never had a full-time job. So I moved from contract to contract to contract. I stayed there for 2 years. I had lots of fun there. Obviously, my first IT role, so in early, stay late, sort of learn everything you can kind of thing. When I was there, basically grabbed all the information I possibly could, did lots of exams. So at the time, went through and did the Windows NT4 MCSE exams. I was thinking back now, the crazy stuff that I did. I actually printed out the whole of the NT4 curriculum because at the time you couldn't really get on many stuff. So there was no Kindle books to go and read them online and stuff like that. So you had to buy physical books and stuff like that. So that's how long this was. Crazy. So I did that, and then from there, I went to work for a company called Shell. As most of you know it. I started off there doing just an administrator role. And then the guy who I was working with just saw how hungry I was, how much I wanted to learn and stuff like that. And then he actually got me a job on the server support team. So I did second line server support for Shell worldwide, which was really, really, really interesting.
Did that involve travel or just
no, we did it all remote. So,
okay, cool.
Which was quite interesting because if you ever try to support a server across a 56K,
what I was going at, I've spent some time in the early 2000s. I was actually working on a lot of supporting remotely tanker ships and things like that. So I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, I mean we
and stuff like that. Yeah,
crazy times there. I mean, I remember one time we got a P1 incident in, and I kid you not, I'll never forget this. The P1 incident came in, and it basically said you need to shut down the servers because they're in the jungle and they're getting raided. Because we supported Shell. I mean, they basically had servers everywhere, all over the world, every location you could possibly think of. And at this instance, this is sort of data center deep in the jungle somewhere in this country, and it was getting bombarded by the local army or something like that. And they wanted us to shut the server down.
And all of a sudden, Neil's thinking to himself, remote work's not so bad.
Yeah. Well, no, that was enough because that was my first proper sort of server support role. So again, a lot of learning, a lot of fun. Great team. We had an amazing sort of team leader, a guy called John Dent. And he really sort of helped us out. But again, probably spent How long was I there for? I spent 2 years there as well. So learned a lot, as you can imagine. And then I think they got migrated off into another company or outsourced or something. I can't quite remember. And then I worked from there, and I went to work for a company called EDS. You remember those?
Yep.
Doesn't exist anymore. And there I went to work for the company that was on the account called Department of Work and Pensions. And that was the largest government agency at the time. DWP still is today. Humongous place. So my actual job there was working in their test department. And at the time, this was pre-virtualization, by the way. So we used to have a server room with like 3 different racks of servers. And we basically, my job there was as kind of environment manager. And we basically, someone would come to us on a Monday morning and say, right, I want this configuring. And every week it was something different. So week 1, it would be, please can I have a domain controller with 5 workstations connected to it and this software installed. Okay, so go off, do the physical install, blah, blah, blah. Job done. There you go, hand over. Week 2, please can you go and build me an Exchange server, please, with this amount of domains, this amount of users, and configure this way. Here's your documentation. Sure, off we go. And then week 3 would be, please can you build me a Oracle server, please, and configure this database, configure everything. And for me, I was absolutely in my element because this is a test department. You can mess up as many times as you possibly want to. You can do one. And every week, people are coming to us and we're basically asking us to deploy different configurations and stuff like that. And I learned so much in my time there because you were just day-to-day configuring, building, fixing, troubleshooting, everything to a very, very, very in-depth level. Because if something went wrong, we had to fix it, essentially. So you were supposed to call the guys who wrote the documentation and say, this is not working, please come and have a look. But we just think, okay, let's have a look at this. And 9 times out of 10, we're like, right, we just fix it ourselves, tell them what the fix is, and then get them to put that back in the documentation. So spent 4 years there, but honestly, I learned so much. And that's probably the most I've learned in my whole career because every day was different and it was a lot of fun.
Nothing like those challenges to really push you, you know.
I loved it. I absolutely. I mean, even to this day, right? I know this sounds crazy. Give me a simple problem, I'm not interested. Give me a real deep, complicated problem, and now you've got my interest. So that's just the way my mind works. But when I'm troubleshooting stuff, if it's not fixed in the next 30 minutes, it gets personal. So that's when I sort of go into deep focus time.
Awesome. So yeah, got that engineer brain going on. I definitely get that.
Yeah. And then from there, I went to work for a company called Capgemini. We're a big consultancy company here in the UK. Went to work for the company called the HMRC, where they were doing a big migration from Windows NT4 over to Server 2003. Just like everything, and Windows NT4 to Windows XP, and over to sort of 2003 Active Directory as well from NT4.
Active Directory, here we go.
Yeah,
for interesting times.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, as you'll see in a minute, I used to be, again, my engineer brain. I have the tendency throughout my whole career, anything I get my hands on, I want to go deep. It's just the way my brain works. I want to learn absolutely everything about that I possibly can do. So I spent probably 2 years, probably about 18 months there, actually think about it. Again, my official role was a Microsoft infrastructure consultant. And that was basically walking into a room at 7 o'clock every morning and then troubleshooting migration issues every night. That role was pretty stressful and full on because it was a case of you get assigned your problem at 7 o'clock in the morning, go away, speak to people you need to speak to, fix a problem, give an update at 11 o'clock, go away, do some more work, come back at 1 o'clock, give a further update, and then it was that constant rolling cycle. But again, I was in my element because it was deep technical and you're fixing problems on the fly, and if you can't fix it, you have to go away and speak to someone who can fix it. So pretty stressful, but it was good. It was good fun. So as you can tell, I've done a lot, and then I went to work for Hewlett Packard on the Unilever account. So I did global Active Directory fourth line support. He was actually one of my friends. If you're wondering how the hell I made that jump, it was actually one of my friends who was working there, and there was an opening, and he said, "Do you want to come and do it?" And so at the time, I thought I knew Active Directory, right? I thought I was really good at group policies. Like, yeah, I can do Active Directory. I've created GPOs, I've troubleshooted replication, piece of this. And then I went to work for there, and oh my God. So this was basically, again, Unilever. So every country in the world had a server and a location. So we had like probably over 400 domain controllers that we had to support on a global basis. So there were 4 of us in that team. And we were the only domain admins in the whole of the company. And this is Unilever, so you're talking over 240,000 users. And so,
yeah,
again,
was it all the same domain?
There are 3 domains.
Domains in the same forest.
There's a root domain, which is probably empty, as you should do best practice, and then you had your child domains. Basically, thinking about EMEA, Americas, and APAC. I think I remember rightly. This was going back a few years, but
somewhere in the hills of Tennessee, Carl Webster's going.
No, I mean, again, to me, super, super, super interesting. Again, I went deep as you could do into Active Directory. I don't know if you can remember a guy called Joe Richards. We used to work with him quite a lot. He was the original. He wrote books on Active Directory and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I used to.
I think it might have. I'm going to misspeak, so I'm just not going to.
Yeah, and again, I got to know sort of really in-depth tools.
I was thinking about like when we had Jeremy on, and I think we were talking about. I can't remember if we were talking about him or somebody else, but yeah.
Yeah, and we used to use tools like LDP to manually edit the schemas and stuff like that, and troubleshooting and stuff like that. It was crazy deep, but again, learned a lot. Spent 2 years there. A lot of fun time. Obviously, AD's changed a lot now since you got like Azure AD and all that stuff. So, but even today, I probably still use the skills that I learned back there, because as probably a lot of listeners know, throughout your career, you just pick up all these little things, and you never know kind of when it becomes useful. And then from there, I went to work for a company called Atos Origin doing server support. Again, I won't skip over that. That wasn't super interesting. That's just a server support role, but that's how I became interested in my Citrix career. Started. This is where it gets interesting. So I'm a typical. Here's the guy who got into Citrix by accident. So I was standard server support analyst. Again, my head is in like, I want to know absolutely everything there is to know. And the guy who was supporting Citrix left. And me being, here's the Citrix thing. I don't know what this does. I want to learn it. So I sort of put my hand up to be a Citrix specialist. And that's how my Citrix career started.
Yeah, it's shocking to me how often that happens. It's not really shocking. I'm just saying that this is the story I hear over and over again, that it's the, well, we have this thing, it's really great. And then, somebody leaves and we're like, this used to just run itself, right?
Yeah.
Need somebody. And so, the volunteers, and that's, I would say that voluntold is the other thing that happens a lot, where you're just like, you're volunteering to do this. So you said, this is something awesome. I want to learn this. And so that's really great. That's that kind of spirit of the learner is great.
Yeah. So then pretty much all my day-to-day work was Citrix. So sat there again, stayed there for another 2 years. And then at that time, I started to really think about my career long term, because I've been doing like just support roles stuff. And then the next step was consultancy. So that, right, how do we get into consultancy? So I went and did all the CCEE exams. So I think at the time there were like 6 exams, if I remember rightly, you had to do something like So I went away, did all those exams, got my CCE. And then I don't know if it's pure fluke, luck, or anything, but a recruiter just one day, who'd been speaking to for a while, I told him what I wanted. And this guy, I still speak to him today, he was absolutely amazing. I told him what I wanted, and I worked with him for about 3 months straight. And every week, the guy used to ring me up and give me updates about how he's progressing to find me a role. You don't get that anymore, but that's what it was like back then. And he found me a role as a Citrix consultant, working for a small company. But they were quite small, but didn't really do much. I think like I did 1 or 2 Citrix implementations because they specialize in Citrix for schools. So didn't really learn much from there. But then I got a job so left there and then went to work for a company called Computer Center. Don't know if you heard of them, but they're quite big here in the UK. They're one of the biggest IT consultancy companies.
Okay.
And I think that's probably where I made probably the biggest break in my career. A guy called John Moody got me in there. So shout out to you, John, if you're listening. He actually works for Citrix now.
Okay.
Top guy. And I don't know why he employed me, but he said he saw the potential from Citrix perspective, and I had the CCE and stuff. So really sort of techie interview. And then I basically somehow dwindled to work on one of the largest VDI implementations as a Citrix consultant in the UK at the time, which was for a sort of a major sort of global bank. So not a global bank, a UK building society, doing sort of from scratch. They didn't have a big Citrix, but they did a VDI and desktop 5.6 implementation, which is originally planned for like the whole of the user estate, which is like 16,000 users. So I worked on that alongside sort of Microsoft and AppSense. They were in there as well.
What year was that? Because that kind of matters in the VDI world.
Yeah, that was 2012. So that was when
VDI
VDI
was super easy.
Yeah, that was kind of when VDI was really starting to sort of take off. So like Zen Desktop 5.6 days. So, and again, humongous learning curve to me. That was my first introduction to kind of enterprise IT architecture, and sort of IT at scale in a bank.
Yeah, and so you learn the importance of not only uptime but scale. And Citrix did as well. Actually, when it comes to 5.6, that was a huge pain point. Trying to push IMA to have 60,000. No, you couldn't. It was impossible.
Yeah.
Well, and I think the other thing is, especially like Neil, you brought up banks. I mean, banks have all these peripherals that need to communicate with the desktop, and you don't realize how many peripherals are out there until you start working with a bank.
Right. You bring me back memories now. Yeah, we used to have this special room where we used to test all those peripherals, and obviously we're messing about with all the config settings and Citrix policies to get them to try and connect and all that kind of stuff. Fun times.
Yeah. Some of the bigger early projects that I did with Citrix Consulting Services. I'm just going to assume I still can't say names, but a large worldwide bank. Let's put it that way. Similar kind of thing, but it was in the early stages of FMA, and so we were just getting into what that could do, and we were still trying to apply IMA methodology to FMA. It was messy. It was a messy thing, and then we learned, like, after a while, it's like, oh well, we don't have to do it like that.
Yeah.
Have to have like a primary and 6 secondaries spread across and load balance and blah 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 blah. No, we can just have two.
I think the worst part of it as well was we were running. You wait for this. We were running Hyper-V 2008.
Yeah.
So can you imagine Hyper-V 2008 at scale? So
trust me. I've
wait. Did you just say 2008 Hyper-V and at scale?
Yeah.
We had like 200 Hyper-V servers. So it was interesting. All backed up via SEVMM 2012 RTM. So
yeah,
interesting times.
Which had its own issues. Not to
Yeah.
badmouth Citrix, but Microsoft, but man, that combination, all it took was CVMM saying, "Oh no, let's shut them all down." I can't see them. Shut them down. Shut them all down. And so just like entire farms just go down for no reason. Yeah, I remember those days all too well.
Yeah, you had to be super careful about what you did. I did. Let's just say I did a lot of overtime. I had a lot of early mornings, working weekends, and late nights, just to keep it up and running, not just to do stuff, just to keep the thing going.
Right. But those early lessons kind of inform like later on, and you bring those into, especially as you kind of advance, you kind of just bring those experiences to bear, and it's hard to go through, but those are the kind of things that help us grow. So it's not all bad, but still, geez.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think people realize how easy they have it now. I mean, you can that environment.
Kids today,
yeah,
just sitting around smoking their pot and
pressing a script to run, and off it goes and does it all. We were spending. I mean, obviously, we literally had a floor full of people doing this project, like consultants from Microsoft, consultants from AppSense, consultants from Compute Center, just to get this thing up and running. I mean, you're talking tens and millions of pounds to do it. It's crazy. When I think about it by now, it's absolutely insane. But again, learning curve, humongous, and not just from a technical perspective, but from sort of architectural governance, all that stuff. Really good. So I actually stayed there for 5 years because I was the only one in the environment like the back of my hand. Because the way it worked out was Cisco came in and did the original design, and they built what it's based on Cisco UCS FlexPod.
UCS, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So they came in and did FlexPod 1, and then they handed it over to Compute Center to support, and then Nationwide were like, oh, we need to expand this environment. But no one else knows how the environment runs apart from Neil. So I became the consultant and basically sort of helped with the designs and stuff like that, and sort of expanded all that stuff. And then stayed there to do the upgrade as well. So we upgraded to Zen Desktop 7.6 and SCVMM 2012 R2 and Hyper-V 2012 R2 and stuff like that. So again, that was quite an interesting experience on its own, but went a lot better than the actual original implementation, I would like to say. PVS as well, using Citrix PVS. I'm a huge Citrix PVS fan. Always loved that product.
Yeah, I still do today. I mean, that's just me.
I don't think it's just you. No, it's definitely not just you.
Yeah.
So I got to ask, when you were working on that environment back in 2012, where was storage at that point?
We had a wonderful product called Melio. Do you guys remember Melio?
Yeah.
So
the file system.
Yep.
The PBS file system.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's Citrix bought and then immediately.
I was like, this is ringing a bell, but
because you could do active and all sorts of cool stuff with it.
So I mean, storage obviously when the original product was obviously Cisco UCS HD disks. So sort of IOPS wasn't great, but it was enough, I would say. I mean, we don't really get into any technical performance issues, I would say, due to slowness. It just worked fine. Then we used to do a lot of optimization, like because at the time, I think AV was obviously a massive, huge topic. Because if you use like the likes of McAfee, stuff like that, you'd hit problems. So what we essentially did, we used the standard inbuilt Microsoft, I can't remember what it's called now, but what is now essentially Defender and we used to whitelist those by running full AV scans, and that worked great. So it wasn't really a massive problem. And then obviously when we did the upgrading environment, we switched over to full flash SSD storage, which is a lot faster. So
lots of fun.
Well, a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do is give Neil a little bit of a break. And so we're going to take a 2-3 minute break here. We're gonna I'll talk to you for a little bit. I'll give these guys a break, and I'll just keep talking because it's kind of what I do. So we'll be back with Neil in about 3 minutes. So what I want to talk to you guys about today is actually we're already talking about doing consulting work and things like that. And a common thing I was thinking about this morning when I woke up is a pain point that people don't know they have, and that's and it's something that I went through when I went to work for Citrix Consulting Services. I knew all the tech, but I didn't really know how to get that applied to things like assessing when people had, writing documentation, making presentations, things like that. And so what I've done is, I already talked a lot about this in the book, Just Do This, obviously, but I wanted to go a little deeper. And so what I've created is a self-paced course that you can go through. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a little video, and then I'll tell you a little bit more about it right after that. Meet Andrew. Andrew was recently promoted from an engineer to an architect. He knows the tech quite well, but now he finds that he needs to talk to management about their technology needs. But he feels like they don't necessarily trust him. They treat him like he doesn't know what he's talking about. Diane, the IT director, suggests that Andrew needs to learn how to better document and present to management. Andrew feels discouraged. He knows the tech very well, but that just isn't enough anymore. Should he resign? Go back to being an engineer? I have been there. It took several years of hardship before I finally unlocked the methods that I use today. The good news is, Andrew can learn them in less than 1 month and save years of trial and error. Now, Andrew is presenting in front of management, even the CEO. Don't tell him now, but soon he'll be offered a position at a vendor. Way to go, Andrew. You can do the same. Learn how to assess, present, and document so that the tech skills you've spent years developing shine. It's been a lot of fun to put all this together, and so I'll say again, and I'll put the link in the first comment when we get done today, because I just realized it's not in the description yet. I'll put it there probably as well, but I'll put it in the first comment and be the easiest way to do that. But yeah, it's just part of the journey is learning, and a lot of times we don't realize that we need to know things that we don't know. And so this is kind of a great way to get those soft skills. It's not anywhere near as expensive as you might be thinking. So just head there, courses.thrive-it.com. And yeah, so I encourage you to get enrolled. It's self-paced, go through at your own pace. It's about roughly about 8 hours worth of things, but the lessons are split into about 15-minute segments of what I call lunch break friendly. And so it's like something you can just go through these lessons over your lunch breaks and kind of learn more and more about how to properly do all these things that consultants know how to do. And yeah, so that's kind of great. It kind of gets you out of just engineering brain and into these other things. So I wanted to bring back the guys here. And guys, I just want to pull up this comment because I think it's really cool. Al Crawford says, Neil, really enjoying the history part. Very similar to my journey. And Al, I want to say that is something we hear a lot of around here because it's similar to our journeys as well. So it's always cool to hear people's journeys and how they're, very validating to hear how everybody has similar journeys and similar challenges. And so we're all in this together. So it's kind of cool. So.
Yeah, I think what's cool about it is while they're all very similar, the experience themselves is different, and it's always interesting to hear. How did you learn this particular lesson? The way I learned it is going to be different than the way Neil learned it or you did. Yeah. So it's always interesting to hear the similarities, but also the very big differences in how lessons were learned.
Yeah. It's awesome stuff.
Definitely. I mean, it's good though, right? I mean, this is how you learn. It's the experience. Some stuff you just can't teach. A lot of stuff you can, but there's some stuff which you only pick up from experience. So.
Honestly, it's true. And then there's some things that just like, you get busy and you forget that, you don't have to be the only one to know stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the other thing is like, oh, well, I need to, Google my way through this. Well, and that's where the sharing part of it comes in too. So, So Neil, when did you start blogging? I was actually going to ask you about that.
Yeah, well, probably quite a while ago. I mean, I've never really done blogging in a lot of in-depth. I always intend to, but as with anything, you never really get the time. And so I've always had it in my head that I try to push out something once a week, but normally it's like once a month. Because, to be honest with you, I mean, what I've learned over the time is whatever you learn, you should help others with that as well. Because in life, in your career, you tend to all go around in the same circles, right? You spend so much of your time picking up knowledge, and it's only fair to share that knowledge. And one thing which I've learned certainly over the past 2 years, which has massively helped my career, is you don't know. You just touched a bit then. You don't know everything. No one knows everything, and it's impossible to know everything. And a lot of people out there, I was for years and years and years, I was scared of putting myself out there because I had that imposter syndrome. I was kind of like, well, why should I say this? Because there's someone out there who knows more than me. He's just going to think I'm an idiot and saying that. But the complete opposite is so true. And everyone, and this is why I'm so involved with the community, because everyone is so helpful. And all you have to do is just put yourself out there. And it's great to see now, especially over the past sort of 12 months with lockdown, a lot of people are sort of popping their heads above the water to try and learn stuff and do more video, more blogging. It's all just, you can see it's all massively just taking off. So that's at the moment. I do a lot more blogging recently because I have the time to do it. Before I didn't, because I was commuting down to my client, probably spend 10 to 15 hours a week in the car and working sort of early mornings, late nights, that kind of thing. I didn't really have the time to do it. But now that I'm working from home permanently, pretty much, I have a hell of a lot more spare time. So a lot more time for content production and writing and all that stuff, which is fun.
When crazy things start to happen, you start doing things like start YouTube channels and podcasts and such.
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly. It's amazing when you get. I mean, I think everyone's found extra time to do stuff, right? Everyone's got like an extra 2, 3, 4 hours a day that they didn't have before. So it's quite good to see what people are doing with that time. Yeah,
it is. So I want to talk a little bit about community and how you got involved with like the CTA program for a while there, and what did that look like for you? How did that? Is that something that somebody suggested you do, or something you sought after? What did that look like?
No, it's something I sought after. So you could say probably started getting community stuff involved probably around 5 years ago. When I was getting involved with Citrix stuff, I noticed like these. Because I don't think at the time there were CTAs, it was all like the CTPs. And it's like, oh, wow, like you look up to those people and they must be like totally awesome. These gods of people who've got this CTP title. And you go to all these conferences and you look at all these people and you just look up to them so much. And then just with anything with a human brain, you want to aspire to be like that. And so I started to go into EVC. A conference. I think Jeff, you definitely know it. I think you probably know it, DJ. And I went around Europe with those guys. And do you know, I mean, the biggest aha moment for me is when you meet those guys and you think, those people just like you and me.
Yep.
There's nothing special about them. It's just they've put the effort in to learn and to share what they've learned. And they love doing that. And that to me was like wow, okay, if they can do it, I can do it. So that's when I really started to put my foot down and say, right, okay, so I'm going to start blogging, start tweeting, start creating stuff on LinkedIn, started posting it like I did my first user group presentation. I know it sounds crazy. I only did that 2 years ago. I've done lots more since then. So, I mean, 2 years ago, I didn't have a CTA, I didn't have an MVP, I didn't have anything. It's only in the past 2 years that I've done all that. And just because I put myself out there. And my message is anyone can do it. So
it is funny to me how sometimes when you start realizing that, okay, I'm just like these guys and gals out there. It's just, it accelerates what you do. It's just like, oh, well,
yeah.
gosh, I can do this. And you start contributing a lot more at that point. Once that kind of key moment unlocks, it's kind of the similar thing I'm seeing across almost everybody we're talking to in that kind of space, is like, once you come to that realization that, oh, they're just people like myself. They're not
Yeah, I
I
mean,
did
because,
what I can't do.
yeah, I mean, like when I got the CTA, it's an amazing feeling. But then you look at the benefits, and well, I'm already doing all this stuff anyway. So there's nothing like this big aha moment. I'm a CTA. It's like, right, okay, I'm a CTA now. And obviously you get your subscription for the Citrix and stuff like that. But
Yeah, feather in the cap.
Yeah, but no, it was good. Great program. So really enjoyed doing it. I really enjoyed presenting, and yeah, I'd recommend it to anyone if they can do and want to get involved.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, if I think about it, I'll link a video I did a couple of years ago. Years ago now, my goodness, about how to kind of prep for becoming a CTA. It's easier than people think.
Yeah, absolutely.
So absolutely. I'll have to remember. I'll write that down right now to do that. But, so through that journey, walk us through how Nerdio came into play here.
Yeah, so obviously, go back to 2020. My time at the Citrix customer came to an end, and it was all on-prem. And I've been trying to get into cloud stuff for quite a while, but it was a case of, well, you don't have the experience, which I found very, very frustrating. I applied for a few roles and kept on getting told no. So I went away, did my Azure expert certifications. Still come back and said no, which again I found a bit frustrating, because you read the press, it's like, oh, there's a big shortage of all these cloud engineers and all that stuff, and skills shortage. Well, here I am. I've got over like 20 years experience in IT. I've got all these certs, but no one will give me a job. What's going on? But again, lucky break. I heard about this thing called Azure Virtual Desktop, and I was like, I'm trying to break into the cloud. I've got lots of VDI experience using Citrix, and Microsoft are releasing this product. Okay, I need to do something about this. So as I've done throughout the whole of my career, I jumped headfirst into learning absolutely everything I could do to learn about that product. Installed it, blogged about it, tweeted about it, posted on LinkedIn about it, and I got a call from someone at New Signature, which is a very well-renowned consultancy here in the UK. Lots and lots and lots of big customers. And they were looking to build an Azure Virtual Desktop practice, which at the time was Windows Virtual Desktop. And he knew I didn't have an experience in Azure. He knew I didn't know anything about Azure Virtual Desktop apart from lab it. And he says, I like your CV, I like your experience, I like your attitude. I'm going to give you a job. So I went to work there as a consultant. So my official role was a senior Citrix and Windows Virtual Desktop architect. So I spent a year there doing a few Windows Virtual Desktop deployments and Citrix deployments. So fully enjoyed it. So huge thanks for them giving me the job, the chance, essentially. Because I mean, now that I mention that, this is what my career has consisted of. People just giving me a chance. And so I think anyone who can give other people a chance should do it, because it really makes a difference to people's lives. So did that for a year. And then I got approached by Nerdio in March 2021. They were looking to expand in the UK. I've been quite vocal about Nerdio because I'd done Azure Virtual Desktop deployments. I knew how difficult they were. I knew the problems that people had. And every time I had a problem, Nerdio fixed that problem. I was like, okay, this is a good product. And I was very vocal about that. And they approached me and basically said, we're looking for a UK Field CTO. Job's yours if you want it. So I sat there, and to be honest with you, it was a hard decision to make because at the time New signature were getting brought out by Cognizant. And I knew if I wanted it, that was a job for life. I could go there, work for a company called Cognizant, do Azure Virtual Desktop and large enterprise deployments using sort of DevOps pipelines and all that kind of stuff. So to a lot of people, a fully remote job, very, very well paid salary, is probably the dream job. I thought about it a lot. It was a hard decision to make. But what tipped it over for me, I've always been sometimes you need to take the chance because you don't know what's around the corner. And I think about the long term. So how many other opportunities am I going to get to join a startup in a really, really hot industry and to do and learn so much more?
And also bring all of that experience to bear. I mean, that's what I love about this stuff is when, well, it's like Jeff has said this, I say it all the time, that it's really that's what's portable. I mean, your tech knowledge, it's gone within a month. Really, I mean, it's like if you step back and don't do anything with it, you have to catch up. It's just the way this works. But those kind of leading practices, all those kind of things that really formulate how your brain works. That's what's valuable. So that's really cool that you really actually it was good to validate this because when I saw you went to Nerdio, that was exactly the thought I had. I was like, okay, so they're getting a guy that really is, thinking about the way things operate, as a practical kind of thing, not as a salesy kind of, here's the world and it's a beautiful place. It's more like, no, this is ugly crap, and you're going to spend all your time doing stuff you don't want to do if you don't do it this way. That sort of thing.
I mean, the sales side of it is the bit which I'm struggling with the most because I've not done it before.
Right.
And I'm an honest person.
Right.
And I will tell people the truth. I'm not going to sit there and lie to a customer and tell him something which is not the truth. So to me, the sales bit, again, is part of the growth. It's a new skill which I've got to learn. And that's a new skill which will stay with me for the rest of my life. So, and it's a new set of skills. I need to learn all about how business works. I need to learn how to speak to people right at the top. I need to learn how to speak to people who make the final decisions, that kind of stuff. And that's one of the reasons why I took the role, because I don't know if I want to still be technical in the next 25 years. I've got 25 years of my career left. The more skills that I get, the more chance I've getting to do what I want to do. So I may carry on and go away from the technical stuff and do more on the business side, or I may go back into doing the deep technical stuff. But I have the option to do whatever I want to do. Yeah,
that's the cool thing about a lot of these conversations we're having. I mean, we're having Bass on the other day, people like Ruben that have really gone into that side of things more and more. And so it's like it takes all kinds kind of thing. And so the geeks are taking over, folks. It's happening.
The Dutch and the geeks. How about that?
Well, yeah. So like we'll just have to. Yeah.
But I think that brings up a good point. Because clearly I've hit a lot of those same roadblocks that you were talking about, Neil, about the whole, you don't have the direct experience, therefore we can't hire you. Even though, like you said,
started this thing, you don't have any experience with it.
Yeah. I mean, but that's what we do as technologists is we learn, we like you, I'm one of those guys that I like to, here's something new. Let's tear it apart, see how it works, get to know it. And it's difficult when you're constantly being told, you just don't have the skill set we need right now. Yeah, I mean, I can sell, I can do this, I can do this. All I need to do is learn the tech. That's the easy part.
Yeah, I mean, the hiring manager, I think they need to look more at the person rather than the technical skills. Look at the person. How willing are they to learn? How does their mind work? Because that's a lot more valuable than the technical skills. The technical skills anyone can learn. And you also need to know that they're willing to learn as well. I mean, I know this sounds a bit harsh, but I see a lot of posts on LinkedIn about people who are saying, "Oh, I've not worked in like 5 years. Please, someone give me a job." But then you look at the profile, and it's like, "Well, what have you done?
Yeah.
You've not done any exams. You've not done anything to improve yourself. That's why you can't get a job." And I think it's a message that more people need to listen to, especially the ones if they can't get work. If you do the right things, it's possible, but you need to put that foundation in place. That's the critical thing. And for me, that's something which I've done throughout my whole career, and it works. If I want to learn something, I go away and look at what I need to do to learn it. I go away and do the exams. I blog about it. I tweet about it. Job done. People these days, because technology is changing so fast, you need to be capable of reinventing yourself. And that's an art in itself, right? So that's my message to people. Just you need to keep skills up to date, keep on top of things, and then it kind of becomes, I won't say easy, but a lot easier than it would do if you weren't doing anything.
Yeah, it's true.
So Neil, how did you, and I say you, and I may be completely wrong, but the whole WVD community, how did you start that? I mean, what was the? I mean, I guess I know the impetus. I think you've kind of touched on it.
Yeah.
But this has become big, huge.
Yeah,
and
kind
great.
of blew up. So that started again with me being so community focused and wanting to share knowledge and help other people. So at the time, it was just AVD or DVD was just starting to kick off. And then there wasn't any really social media presence around Windows Virtual Desktop. There were a few people tweeting about it, but nothing really, really crazy. So I took the bullet and decided to set up the WD community. So it started off with a simple newsletter that I started to write every week, every Sunday. And then a few other guys joined me. Stefan Digamanzo, first of all, came. Then we started doing a podcast, which we used to push out every couple of weeks. And then that turned into doing a user group, local UK sort of Windows Virtual Desktop user group, which we met every once a month virtually. So did that. And then Baz has actually suggested, well, why don't you take this global? So great idea. So we set up it globally. So now we have 15 user groups worldwide that we have. And we're about to remarket ourselves to the Azure Virtual Desktop Community. And my original vision was to have it as a central place for everything related to Azure Virtual Desktop. So lots of video tutorials, all the user group meetings, lots of FAQ, tutorial, how-to guides, a place where anyone could go and learn anything about sort of Azure Virtual Desktop from a real-world perspective. That's still my plan, and that's why we're rebranding to sort of start building that out. So that's going to be launching in the next couple of weeks. New website, we've got sponsors, so we can get some proper hosting done and stuff like that. So big things coming.
Well, and we'll just say this, as always, let us know how we can help, because we're always, awesome stuff. Cool. So I'm just curious. I mean, obviously we're talking tech and all that kind of stuff. We talk get Nerdio and all that awesome stuff. But tell us a little about yourself. What do you do in your spare time?
Yeah, so in my spare time when I'm not playing about with Azure Virtual Desktop, I love reading. So I spend a lot of time reading books. I like going out for sort of long walks, sort of mindfulness, sort of help you better get to the gym when I can do, and spending time with my family essentially. So that's me. And I like watching films as well. I love a good film. So yeah, that's what I do. Any
favorites recently?
Films?
Yeah.
No, it's been a bit rubbish recently. I've not really seen a decent film in a long time that I really, really enjoyed. So there's none that springs to head, to be honest with you.
I hate to admit that, but that's true. Yeah. I did.
Books? What kind of books do you read?
I know this sounds really corny, but I read a lot of self-development books. Like I probably read a book a week. So a lot of autobiographies. a lot of really self-development books. Obviously, recently started in Nerdio, I've started reading a lot of books around sort of sales and business management. But I guess you're getting a feeling here, and me saying this kind of, this is part of what my mind is like. I don't switch off. Anything that I want to learn, I just go in all feet in. And if I want to learn a subject, I'll literally go and buy 10 books and read it. And that subject's that's just where I am. And my people and I keep on telling myself I should relax a bit. But I don't, because every time I try to do stuff, I just think, well, I could be more productive learning something.
Yep.
So that's just the way my mind works.
That's relaxing to you. I mean, it may not be relaxing to them, but it is relaxing to you.
Yeah,
and that's how, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I mean, I'll happily sit here for 12, 14 hours a day learning stuff. That's me. I'm happy doing it. I like to spend a lot of time on my own. I know that sounds crazy again, but again, that's just me as a person. Give me an option of going out to the pub or a meal and spending all night with lots and lots of people, or give me the option of being at home with my wife with a book and relaxing and do stuff. I'll go for being at home. That's just me as a person.
Oh, that's great. I need more people like you in my life. I'm just saying. That's awesome. Well, I mean, so you mentioned the Azure Virtual Desktop groups and things like that. What else is what's next?
This is what I love about this career. I don't know. Yeah. Who knows? I don't know what I'm going to do the next 2 years. I haven't got a clue. And that's what I love about it. So at the moment, my sole focus is Nerdio. We're still a startup company, so we're still building that up. So a lot of my time is on that, and obviously building out the sort of Azure Virtual Desktop Community. So those two things pretty much take up all my time and all my spare time as well. Yeah. So for the next 12 months, I guess that's all I'm going to be doing, and then beyond that, I don't know.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I'd say a year is a good plan, especially in tech. Like you said, the next big thing could hit in the next 6 months, and you don't see it come in. It hits, and then suddenly.
I mean, I do have a long-term plan. One dream of mine has always been. I mean, I know I've done IT contracting, but I've always wanted to run my own consulting company. And I think there's a gap in the market, especially it grows as a sort of EUC/VDI/cloud desktops is a very, very specialized market. It requires a very, very specific skill set. And to this day, I don't know of any company who specializes in providing that functionality. So
yeah, it's fun to realize that it doesn't have to be just one thing you're doing. Yeah, there's lots of ability these days to kind of be a multipreneur and kind of have the things you're doing and be able to commit to that full time and still be able to do other things. And so that's something that is kind of cool about the modern world we're living in, where we don't have to be kind of caged, I guess you could say. I mean, obviously you tell people to be careful with, agreements you've signed and things like that. But at the same time, it's certainly possible to contribute in more than one place at the same time. It's very cool.
Anyone can literally do what they want, right? This is the great thing about the world that we live in today. And especially even now that everyone seems to be 100% remote. You can run your normal day-to-day business during the day and then run a second startup company in the evening if you want to. That's what a lot of people do. So it's the world's your oyster, essentially. So.
Exactly. Yeah. Very cool stuff. Awesome. Well, hey, let's do this. Let's do some final thoughts today. So Neil, if we're summing up all the discussions we've had today, all the career thoughts and things like that, is there any one thing you'd want to say to everybody out there?
Yeah, I mean, my number one tip for everyone out there is learn as much as you can, because it will pay off in your career. But on the flip side, don't feel like you have to. sometimes that I've struggled with over the past is feelings of immense stress and anxiety, because you can have so much stuff going on in your life, but you need to look after yourself as well. So find that balance point between life and career, because it can be so difficult, especially with the current situation, and it will continue to be more difficult because every week there's something new to learn, but just do whatever you're comfortable with, essentially. So that's my number one tip, trying to find that balance between career, life, and learning. But make sure that once you find that balance, you use it, continue, and then who knows what's going to happen in your life.
Awesome. Well, Neil, thanks so much for being on with us today. We really appreciate your time, and just looking forward to all the great things that are coming up. There's I don't want to say a whole new world out there with AVD and stuff like that, but it's a whole different way to do things. There's a lot of new challenges that are going to have some really exciting, not only benefits, but kind of opportunities. So really
opportunities, and it. I've said before, and I think it's going to shake up the market of the 800-pound gorillas.
Yep.
So going to be interesting.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what what gets me out of bed each morning, excited. I do generally get out of bed each morning excited because we don't know what's down the road in 3 months' time, 6 months' time, a year time. And to me, this is the best industry to work in. I couldn't imagine doing anything else. I'm sure you guys think the same as well.
Oh yeah. Yep. And I think Nerdio is at the forefront of being a disruptor at this point with
absolutely. We are continuing to do that as well. So we're continually getting better and better and better. We have 15 new features every month.
I know you guys just keep coming out with finding new stuff to come out with, and good stuff.
Yeah.
To come out. So
pushing. Love it.
Because everything that we do is driven by user feedback, essentially. So we give people what they want, and we don't charge them a lot of money for it, which is the reason why we've been so successful. So
love it. Well, Neil, thanks again for being on with us. I'm going to send you back to the green room. We'll talk to you afterwards, but thanks again.
Thank you for asking me to come on. It's been fun.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome. Jeff, final thoughts from today?
Is it my turn? Is this where I take over the broadcast again?
That's right. I'll just blank myself out here. I'm gonna take a break.
No. I think it's a powerful message. And it keeps coming up is balance, and finding that balance in your life. Ruben was obviously a very big advocate for that, but as I break my kneecap, it's something that we all have to find. And, I think Neil is a great example. It is that, for him, balance is, reading the self-help books, digging in the technology. And, there are people that are going to say, well, that's not relaxing. That's it. But it is to him. And everybody has their own way of relaxing. Take the time and relax, no matter what it is that you need to do. Unless you're going to kill somebody, then don't do that. That's not good. But
within the
know what I mean. But it's such an important message, balance. And I know, I look back over my career with my wife and then kids, that's hard to do, especially when you're young, because you feel like you have to be go all the time.
Yeah.
So, and one last thing that I think is important, and Neil touched on how much he enjoyed the test environments in building those and failing and learning.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I'm going to go Kurt Cobain. I never failed to fail. And you know what? That's how we all learn. That is the best way to learn. If everything goes smooth, you're not learning. I mean, I hate saying it that way, but it's really true. And those are my final thoughts today.
Awesome. Cool, Jeff. Thanks so
you,
much. And
Yeah.
we'll see you next time as well.
All right.
Cheers. All right, everybody. Well, thanks again. My kind of final thoughts, similar kind of vein. Just keep learning, keep challenging yourself, keep growing, but also realize that, you know what, we're all able to contribute something. And so once again, I know I say this almost every single time, but I really do encourage you to, get out there and say stuff, just share what you're doing, share what you're learning. It does genuinely help. The other thing I'm going to say is we would love your help. We need to spread the word about Thrive IT and the THRIVEcast broadcast and everything like that. So if you would please share this link with your friends and everybody else you know. It's thrive-it.com/subme. This is a link that we've created that just takes you right to YouTube and asks you if you want to subscribe to Thrive IT. So it's very easy. So please do share that link with people so that they can get subscribed as well and be a part of this growing movement of people that are just people in IT. So we really appreciate your support on that, and looking forward to serving you again in another THRIVEcast episode. Until next time, have a great day.
Thank you for joining us for another edition of THRIVEcast. We truly hope you've enjoyed the experience and have learned a lot from it. Now, what we'd want from you next is to join us at thrive-it.com, where you can get subscribed to our multiple channels, get subscribed to our newsletter, and do more to get yourself to where you want to be in your career and your life in information technology. If there's anything we can do to help you, please give us an email at support@thrive-it.com.